Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I want to present you an opening trap for white against the French defense. The trap doesn't have a specific name, but I call it the En Passant Mate because, well, with white's last move he will mate black with an En Passant move, and so I think it's quite fitting, right? Well, I also think that today's lesson is quite important for every chess player. Even if you're not a first d4 player or a French defense player as black, I think that today's lesson is quite important because the motive I will present you is a motive that can appear in many variations. For example, I saw the motive in the Sicilian defense. I saw it in the Jobava-London-System. I saw it in the normal London system. I also saw it once in the Ruy Lopez with the black pieces. So I think you get the point. It's a tactical motive that can appear in many openings, and yeah. So I think every chess player should know about it and should know when to use it and how to use it. You can see the critical position already on the board. It's white to move and win white at the spot, but take your time before we just jump right into the tactic. I of course want to show you how to reach the position and what black should have done to avoid to get trapped. So without further ado, it's time to checkmate. So the game we are following is a game between Gaudersen and Faul and took place in 1928. The game started with the moves e4, e6, d4, d5, and here white decided to play the move e5, going into the advanced variation of the French defense. And here black didn't lose any time and attacked white's center right away with the move c5. White defended the pawn on d4 with the move c3, and now black played a move that is probably a little bit premature. He took the pawn on d4. And the main move in this position is knight to c6, and if you want to know more about this variation, just check out the theory. This is not for this video. Anyway, black played the move c takes d4, and white recaptured with the c-pawn. And now both sides played some naturally looking developing moves. Black set the check with the bishop on b4. White played the move knight to c3. Black played knight to c6. White developed the knight to f3. Black played knight g to e7 to preparing castle kingside. And here white sets a trap with the move bishop to d3. And what should I say? Well, black gratefully fell for the trap. He played the move castling. And believe it or not, but this position is already clearly winning for white. And what's even more interesting about the position is that I checked out the Lichess database and I found that this position occurred in 3,200 online games on Lichess. So it's still quite common, even if it's so bad. And what will happen after the castling move, I will show you soon. But before, of course, I have to show you what black should have done. And I believe that in this position, it's already not so easy for black. But I think that knight to f5 is probably the best move. For example, game could continue with a3, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, queen c7, castling, knight a5 with the idea of placing a knight to c4 and getting a nice outpost, bishop d2, bishop d7, rook e1, knight c4, and this position was reached in the game Serezin versus Thor Finson, two pretty good players, and the game was played in 2017. And in the game, white now played the move bishop takes f5, and I think that this is a mistake because after e takes f5, well, we reach a position that is roughly equal. I mean, black gets some problems with his pawns. He got an isolated pawn on the d file and a double pawn on the f file, but he got a pretty strong knight on c4. He can place a rook on c8 and then gain a pretty good grip on the c file, and so white got some problems with his c3 pawn because he always has to protect it. And yeah, if he has to protect it, well, then probably his bishop on d2 won't get into the game that easily. So I think the position is about equal, probably even slightly preferable for black. So instead of taking the knight, white should have played queen to c2. Queen to c2. And yeah, I think in this position, white but at least a small advantage. And yeah, if you're more interested into this variation, just turn on the engine and play it a little bit for yourself. Anyway, let's go back to the game. In the game, Black played castling, and as I already told you, this is a move that occurred many times on Lichess and even on over-the-board games. And yeah, it's White to move and win right at the spot, so I would advise you to pause the video and try to figure out what White's best move in this position. I'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video if you need to. 1, 2, 3. Well, I hope you all found the solution. The right move is bishop takes h7, exclam, exclam. And what I found pretty interesting about the move is that I told you earlier that this position was reached 3,200 times, right? But the move bishop takes h7 was only found by 28%, only by 900 players. So if you found the right solution, well, then you're probably better than 72% of all the players who reached the position, right? Well, what can Black do in this position? Well, let's start with a move like king h8. After king h8, you could simply just retreat your bishop to c2, and well, this would be enough for advantage for you, but you even have a stronger move, and the stronger move is knight to g5. And the idea is to bring over our queen and mate the Black's king, so, well, what can you do? Let's say he plays a move g6 to stop us from going to h5 with our queen. Well, then you put your queen to f3 and threatening mate on f6. So the only move to stop us is probably knight to f5. And here we just simply can grab a pawn on g6. And Black cannot retake the pawn. For example, let's say bishop takes c3 before b6, c3, and then he grabs the bishop on g6. Because we simply just can say check on h3 and then we mate Black's king, right? So that's not possible. What else can he play in this position? Well, that position is pretty tough, right? I don't think that there's anything he can do in this position anymore. But let's say king to g7, well, then we just simply grab the knight on f5. And again, he cannot take our bishop because we would just simply place our queen to h5. And threatening mate on h7. So let's say he plays rook h8 to prevent this move. Well, then we have another mate by playing queen takes f7 check, king h6, knight f3 check, f4, bishop takes f4 check, queen g5, and bishop takes g5 checkmate. So, well, yeah, that's not what Black wants, right? What else could he play in this position? Well, you could probably try a move like knight to f5, but then we just simply grab the knight on f5, and again, he cannot recapture because of the move queen h5 check, and after king g8, it's mate on h7. So we're at least winning a piece, and so, yeah, this position is absolutely winning for White, there's no doubt about it. Computer gives it already as +8. So let's say Black recaptures the bishop on h7. Well, then we just simply play the move knight to g5 check. And here Black has 2 moves. Let's say he plays king g8 first, because this is the simplest one. Then we just bring our queen into the game to h5, threatening mate on h7. So the only move to prevent the mate is the rook e8 move, making room for the king to run. And here we just simply say check, king f8, check on h8, knight to g8, and knight h7 check. King has to go to e7. It's all forced moves. Queen takes, bishop g5 check. So if the king would move, we would win the queen. So he has to play something. Let's say knight f6. Well, and then we just simply can grab the pawn on g7. And now we're threatening to take the knight on f6, so he has to move away his king, and well, after knight takes f6, king c7, knight takes e8, queen takes e8, and rook to d1, we reach the position where we right now up a rook and 2 pawns against a bishop. And this position is clearly winning. We have a pretty simple plan. We just simply play in Simon Williams style. We will push Harry up to the board, h4, h5, h6. it's pretty tough for black to defend against this simple threat. So yeah, we even can bring our rook into the game after we played h4 by just simply playing rook to h3 and then swing over, you know. Yeah, this game is game over. If you want to know more about all these variations, just check out my Lichess study. I did a study about the game. I will put the link down below in the description, so you can just enter the site. It's all free, and then you just can check out the variations for yourself. And yeah, so King g8 doesn't help in this position, so he really has to go out, and he has to play king to g6. And here we just simply play the move h4. This is a multi-purpose move. We could probably play h5 at a certain point, or we could probably even play rook to h3 to swing over and bring the rook into the game. In the game, black decided to play the move knight takes d4. And of course, this isn't the best move, but the position is already pretty hopeless for black. There are no better moves. I would advise you really to try to find a good move for black. There is no good move. White is just simply clearly winning, and the reason behind the move knight takes d4 is, well, he hopes that white will take the knight, and so he may gain some time to bring his king to safety. But I mean, even if you take the knight, the position for black is just simply hopeless. But anyway, white just decided to play on and attack the black's king to end the game fast, and he played the move queen to g4. And here black played the move f5, and well, this will lead to a mate in 3, but as I already told you, every other move wouldn't help black as well. I mean, in this position the computer gives it already as +8 for white, so the position is pretty hopeless for black. And yeah, let's see the final of the game. After f5, white played the move h5 check. The king has only one square, king to h6. And here, white just simply grabbed the pawn on e6, saying check with the bishop. Oops, sorry. This bishop. Yeah, and if the king would move, let's say, to h7, then it's mate on g7. So he played the move g5, and well, now white got a pretty nice mate. He just played the en passant move h takes g5, checkmate. Well, this was the En Passant Mate. I hope you really got a feeling for the Greek gift, and I can only advise you to check out my Lichess study, take the game and play through it for yourself. Try to find a defense for black, and you will really understand that it's not that easy. Of course, white gives up bishop, but the attack that occurs on black's king afterwards is so strong and so undefendable. Well, you really should try it out for yourself, because I'm pretty sure that at least once in your chess career you will gain a game where you could play the Greek gift, or probably where your opponent can play the Greek gift. So you should be aware of that as well, right? So I hope you liked today's video. I hope you learned something. If you did, please hit the like and the subscribe button, and yeah, see you next time when it's again time to checkmate.